من هذا الخبز وتشربون من هذه الكاس تبشرون بموتي وتعترفون بقيامتي وتذكروني الآن Father, and the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God. Amen. This gospel comes after the feast of circumcision of the Lord. So we had Christmas on Friday and the birth of Christ, the Nativity, the Coptic Nativity of the Lord. And then on the next Friday, 8 days later, we have Jesus going through circumcision. And then today, between circumcision and the baptism, because baptism we will celebrate on Tuesday night, so Wednesday is the feast. These feasts, one after another, are stops or stations in the gospel. We actually have them one after another in the Gospel of St. Luke especially. And you wonder sometimes, where is the rest of the story? So Jesus was born in the Gospel, then he was circumcised. 40 days later, he is presented to the temple. He's taken to the temple because he's the firstborn. And then all of a sudden everything disappears. Don't hear anything about Jesus in the Gospel until he is 12 years old in the Gospel of St. John. So we have a whole infancy we don't know anything about. Maybe a little bit in the Gospel of St. Matthew, he says he went to Egypt. He went to Egypt and came back, running away from Herod. So when you put going to Egypt, where do you put that? So in sequence of time. So it cannot be before 8 days. You cannot rush St. Mary just giving birth and the baby to go to Egypt. That's not going to happen. It's not possible. But then she has to come back to the temple in 40 days and offer him. So when did he go to Egypt? Most probably after the 40 days. So we have an average timing between Jesus being 40 days old and 2 years. Because remember when the wise men came to Herod, he asked him, when did you see the star? He said, for the last 2 years we've been seeing him, the star. So we have this event happening after the 40 days of Jesus presented to the temple, because Jerusalem and Bethlehem, who went to Holy Land? If you went to Holy Land, Bethlehem is 5 miles from Jerusalem. Very, very close. So it doesn't make sense that he goes to Egypt and come back to be presented. So it has to be after the presentation. Then we see him at age 12 in Galilee. And why age 12? Very interesting. Age 12 in the Jewish culture. Let me just tell you a little bit about a boy in the Jewish culture, especially from whatever we learned from the rabbinic teaching. Children in Israel were not better than slaves. That's very interesting to think about. The child would call his father, especially a boy, and a girl would call their father and mother master and lady. They don't call them Baba or Mama. They call them master. And they would be told and do everything the father would tell them to do. It's unheard of. It would be very difficult to think of a child in Israel that would be disobedient or dishonoring, because there is a commandment, very clear commandment to honor your father and mother. As they grow up, kids learn 2 things, especially boys. They learn the Torah, and that's how they learn to read and to write in a special school. There was no science. Very little math, so they can do their business. You know how Jews are very clever in business. Math and the Torah. And then they learn a trade. They learn a craft. Why? The rabbis said it very clearly. You don't teach your child a craft, you're teaching him to steal. Basically, just face it. If you don't teach him how to work early on, you're basically surrendering them to steal when they get older. So from 12 years old. So they leave them with their mothers until they're 12 years old. They go to the school, they learn the Torah, they learn math, and they come and they, at age 12, they start going with the father. And they stop going to the Torah, to the school. By age 12, done. Schooling is done. Because by age 15 or 16, what will happen? He's done learning the trade. What would happen next? They get married. That's it. Age 15, 16, every child is grown up enough to be a husband and a wife. That's why you have most of the stories we have about young couples. So, okay, so what do you think of Jesus' life? Nothing is written. Nothing is written, except few glimpses here and there. One of them today, we read that Jesus was talking in a place, and a woman says, "Blessed is the womb that carried you and the breasts that nursed you." So you hear about St. Mary from here and there. That she continues to receive blessing, right? St. Elizabeth had blessed her 3 times. Blessed is she, blessed are you among women, she said, and blessed is the fruit of your womb. And she said, blessed is she who believed what was told her from the Lord. 3 times, blessed, blessed, blessed. And here comes another woman and says, blessed is the womb and the breast is St. Mary. This is a way of, Jewish way of talking about motherhood. Blessed is your mother, she wanted to say. Now, what would happen in between? What would happen in between these events and Jesus being baptized, which is 30 years? We're going to do it. We're going to do it in from Friday to last Friday to this Tuesday, 10 days, 12 days. What happened in the 30 years from Jesus' birth, circumcision, all the way to become 30? Let's just talk a little bit about circumcision. Circumcision is a great thing, a great feast. And why does the church celebrate it? I'll tell you, because circumcision belongs to the Jews. First, it tells us that Jesus is really a human being. Who do you circumcise? A boy. To circumcise a girl is a crime. It's illegal, even in Israel. There's no such thing. To circumcise a boy is to bring the whole family into a covenant with God, to make a family, the family of God, when you circumcise the boy. And when they bring him on the 8th day, as a little baby, the boy has to have genital organs. He has to have man things. And they take that little piece of skin, and the rabbi or the priest would come to the house. The mother is not supposed, nor the baby is supposed to go to the temple. They're not clean yet. They come to the house, and they get this holy knife, and they would cut that piece of skin, and the baby would bleed, a few drops of blood, and would cry for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then would stop. And right there, if you think about it, Jesus is very human. He is very human. He is like any of us. He has a body. He has been treated like everybody of us, and he accepted this. Then I start thinking about it. So from that circumcision until the day he will be in the Jordan, and heaven will be open, and great things will happen, miracles started, and the kingdom is preached, and all the commotion is going to start at age 30. From 8 days to age 30, what's happening? Think about it. What's happening in his life? Okay, let me just tell you this. You go and hear about a new movie. I told this to the kids. You heard about a new movie, and in the movie theater, and you get excited about the title somehow. The title is very attractive. You go in the movie, and you start watching the movie. That's 3 hours movie, and the movie is showing you your life, everyday life. How far can you attend? 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you see exactly your everyday life. There is nothing to be excited about. There is nothing to be actually entertaining. We got used to entertainment industry, the media, because it gives us things that's not very usual. It's not unusual. And because of this, we don't get excited about things when they are usual. But why would Jesus live 30 years the usual? What would he do? The everyday work. He would wake up. He would pray. There is prayers in the Jewish tradition in the morning and at night. He would go through the Shabbat, the Sabbath prayers, the rituals of the Shabbat. And then he would also go to the bathroom, take a shower, eat breakfast, dinner, fast when it's a fasting time, not fast when it's not fasting time, go to Jerusalem 3 times a year, which is a little bit exciting out of the normal. What is that? That's your life and mine. So why did Jesus came to spend 30 years doing the mundane, the everyday work? Why? Think about it. He would watch St. Mary folding, cleaning, sweeping, washing, and he would help. He watched Joseph doing his carpenting work, and he would not just help, he would also learn from him and start doing it himself. Why? Think about it. Why would the Son of God come from heaven to live for 30 years every day the way we live? So that our life becomes God's life. That's something never happened before. God didn't do that. And Christ coming becomes a human being, so our life, our everyday life, will become His life. So, when we are bored with our life, when we are not excited about it, I remind myself that Jesus did it, that He's doing it so I can do it with me. Everyday things, even things that I would not want to do. As a poor person, He had to do much more than what I had to do. So they didn't have water pipes and faucets. They didn't have toilets. They had to do much more for basic things. When you go to your bathroom and open the faucet and have running clean water, think that Jesus didn't have St. Mary, and maybe He would help her go and fetch water from somewhere around the town where there is a well they have to draw water from. So there's much more that Jesus used to do beyond mundane, beyond the routine. And because we got used to, and unfortunately we are drowned in media and all what the entertainment media, they stop even making good stories. Most of the media presents what? What's exciting? What's entertaining to the degree of blowing your mind? They want to compete for things that's really so astonishing. So you have a lot of violence and sex and pornography and all these things that are really not the routine. Then what happens when you see exciting things? So they tell you this. They tell you one of the drawbacks of social media, TikTok or whatever the new one, Instagram and Facebook. What is the problem with that? One of the problems is people are bored. Why they are bored? Why are we bored? Because all what you see in it is exciting. So people actually compete. They make everybody into a movie star. So they go on your vacation, you go to wherever you're going, and you take pictures, and you take it. And some people actually go to a great length to make it look so special and exceptional. So when other people look at it, they say, oh, my life sucks. I don't like it. What I have is not enough. Look at her, look at him. They're so happy, so excited. Did Jesus come for this? He didn't. He didn't come to give us excitement. He came so that when you live every day, what is the result of living everyday life? You become holy. In the story of Jesus coming to the temple after 40 days, there's 2 people mentioned specially, and I think these are they are the most favorable people for me when I read the Gospels. One of them, his name is Simeon. It's written that he's a very old man, and tradition tells us he was blind. He had cataract. Most people get cataract when they get old. I get cataract, I got it. But thank God we have surgery. In those days, they didn't have surgeries. So you get cataract, you become blind. And he came to the temple, and he saw Jesus. He was driven by the Holy Spirit. Here's something about this man. He's filled with the Holy Spirit. Nobody knows that. Nobody sees it. It's a secret inside of him because he's day in and day out doing the regular things with God. And then he comes and he picks up Jesus and he says, Lord, now let your servant depart in peace, for my eyes have seen your salvation. What eyes you're talking about? You're blind. It is his spiritual eyes, the eyes of the heart, that Jesus is blessing today. And he's warning. He says, your eye has to be clean, has to be perfectly clean. Another woman came with him. Her name is Anna. And I like it for entertainment purpose also, to calculate her age. Anna, daughter of Penuel, from the tribe of Asher. Let's calculate her age. She lived with a husband 7 years after her virginity. How old we said people get married in Israel? 16. Let's say this is too old for a girl. She gets married earlier. So let's say 16. She lived with a husband for 7 years, which makes her 23. So, and then she is a widow for 84 years. What'd that be? 23 plus 84. 80 and 20 is 100. 3 and 3 and 4 is 7. So 107 years old. What was she doing the 84 years? Maybe when she was married, she was having a husband and life is like, but she never had kids. What was she doing? That's how the gospel described her. She was worshiping God day and night, never leaving the temple, with fasting and prayer. Now, some kids would tell me, Sabuna, this is very boring. How you live for 84 years, day in and day out, just going to the church and praying day and night? It's in the details. In the details. She found interest in what she was doing, and she got rewarded. I'm sure she got rewarded every single week, every single day when she was praying, by this content of heart and being filled with the Holy Spirit, because no one could be able to hold Jesus and talk about him if there is no Holy Spirit in them. So she was filled with the Holy Spirit, but she was rewarded at the end of her life by actually physically holding Jesus in her hand. So mundane, that's holy. I love the story, and maybe you can pick that book from Amazon if you want. It is Brother Lawrence, beautiful, beautiful monk from the 1600s. Brother Lawrence was a very holy man. He was a cook in a monastery. He was not a priest. And then he always had this joy. His face was always lit up. And he was very pleasant to speak to. And we knew that he's a saint, all the monks around him. So many people asked him, how did you make it? He said, I do everything with Christ. I have his presence. I have that experience of the presence of God all the time. And the secret is very simple. He came to live our lives. Then we meet him every time we do the cooking, the cleaning, the washing, the driving, the studying of homework, you name it. Going to the bathroom, showering, eating, drinking, preparing food, cleaning the table, all that stuff. You run away from that, you're running away from Christ. You run away because you think there is something better there that we need to do, something more exciting, you're running away from Christ. And for sure, he used to go and have a trip 3 times a year to Jerusalem. It's an exciting trip. I'm sure it was very exciting when all the groups of people go together in a pilgrimage. They go to Jerusalem in groups. They sing along the way, and it's exciting, I'm sure. But that's not every day. That's even 3 times a year. And we do the same. So we run away from our life, and we think it is boring. We're actually saying to Jesus, you're boring. That's it. I have nothing else today. He said, we'll say, time will come when I'm 33 years old, there will be a lot of action. I'll be crucified. That's the action waiting for him. I'll be crucified. I'll be tortured. And for you and for everyone that I love. We ask him and ask him personally to give us this eye-opening experience, to see him in the little mundane things that we do every day, to build our sanctity, our holiness, and to purify our lives by living the everyday life with him, because he did come to do that. There's no much more glory than this. To him is the glory of his good Father and Holy Spirit now and forever. Amen.